right, can we just pull up this Max Boot tweet? Because I just want to complete the circle here. Max Boot is a neoconservative writer. He's not particularly important, I would say. He's not kind of top shelf never Trumper like the ever odious David Frum or Bill Kristol, which, by the way, in my estimation means that Max Boot probably has less blood on his hands, frankly. But he's part and parcel of the ultra hawkish, ultra militaristic, never Trump brigade. He wrote a piece a couple of years ago, which he deserves a little bit of credit for, where he essentially realized as an adult in the United States that, racism actually still exists and it's not good. And Trump made him realize that. He's, of course, like all these other people, having a massive conniption about Bernie Sanders. Joe Walsh. Do you guys remember Joe Walsh, the right-wing congressman from Illinois? He, who is a ultra Tea Party right-winger, the only never Trumper who has any type of actual ideological affinity with anything in terms of the real electorate, he's out on Twitter saying that he would vote for Sanders over Trump because he recognizes that, free college is crazy, but it's not the same as authoritarianism. But Jennifer Rubin and Max Boot and all these other people, including some of them officially, are finally saying, like, hey, look, obviously some right-wing Democrat that wants to kill Arabs, of course, but Bernie Sanders, no. So Max Boot dug out this piece that in 1974, when Bernie Sanders was running for office, he called for abolishing the CIA. Now, just as Max Boot did not apparently realize that racism existed until quite recently, I'm wondering if he's watching this video, if Professor Wolf, you could talk to us about some of the things that the CIA was doing at this time that might have led Bernie Sanders to call for that. Max Boot wrote, "Meet America, meet the Bernie Bros," because Mika Utrick, our friend from Jacobin, wrote, "Let's bring this demand back, abolish the CIA." And in fact, we could just as easily talk about all of the crimes the CIA is committing at right this very moment. But what was the type of thing, like as an example, 1973 in Chile, that would make a young idealistic person like Bernie Sanders say, maybe we want to abolish this undemocratic global crime syndicate?
Yeah, well, it's well known. There were many revelations in the 1960s and 70s about what the CIA had done. There were committees of the Congress that investigated the CIA, that produced reports about it. There's been plenty of documentation, whether it's about overthrowing Arbenz in Guatemala back in the 1950s, or overthrowing the government in Iran because it had nationalized oil, the Suez invasions, all of it, the CIA activities, the illegal activities, because the Congress was very interested when the CIA did things that were found to be illegal. I mean, the notion that one can't criticize the CIA, that's the same Cold War logic. Yes. It's us against them, and we have to whitewash everything that our side does because it's too dangerous to admit that there's anything. This is the mentality which, for a while, runs the show. But when it hits the barriers to that kind of thinking, it becomes the worst enemy of social stability, because once you see that it was a lie what you were told, then you don't know where to stop in the process of no longer believing. And the CIA needs the belief of people to function, and it's undoing that itself by this refusal on the right wing of its supporters to engage in the kind of conversation that any genuinely democratic or free society has to have over particularly its secret agencies,
but what do you make
or else it can't function.
What do you make of the liberal, because we all know, okay, the right wing loves the CIA. We all know that. And we know, of course, that Democratic administrations, the Obama administration was enormously close with the intelligence services and empowered the drone program and so on. But even in pop culture, 24 and Homeland, I believe, have the same producers and the same basic politics. We got to go overseas. We're going to torture people. We're going to engage in drones. But 24 was the Bush era. It was, let's have a drink and fucking, put some wires on somebody's dick and, do it for America. And Homeland was, I went to Bryn Mawr. I studied Arabic. It really pains me to have to blow up this village, but we have to blow up this village. But it was the same ideology functioning, and that kind of explains where we are with foreign policy. But particularly with Trump, and this does go back to the Russia obsession, people who even might have, several years ago been very like, oh, well, we know what the CIA did in Nicaragua. We know what the CIA did in Iran or whatever. All of a sudden, there's this worship of these agencies as actually not only like something that is anti-democratic, but we need because of the Cold War or terrorism or whatever, but actually these are the ones that are going to save us from Donald Trump, even as actually Donald Trump's giving them everything they want and, whatever, the policy's totally synchronized. What do you make specifically of the liberal types who are so, and maybe that's nothing new?
Again, I think it's the collapse of the middle. The centrists are enraged. They're enraged that their space is being taken over from the right by Trump. They're enraged that their space is being taken over from the left by Sanders. Anybody who's against Trump, like the intelligence agency, therefore becomes their ally. Anybody who's critical of Sanders on the left becomes their ally. They're trying to hold the middle together. They don't understand because they can't allow themselves to be critical of capitalism. They haven't done that for 50 years. They've lost the feeling or the taste or the knowledge or the tools to do it. So they have to demonize the political surface phenomena of the breakdown of a system. They can't handle it. Just like they can't handle the fact that they kind of know that the growing inequality is undoing the society. But they can't do anything about it. The inequality grew across Obama. The inequality grew across Trump. And none of them is prepared to go with Bernie to try to really do something. Even the tax on wealth that Bernie has said and that Elizabeth Warren has also doesn't begin to deal with this. I mean, it's better than nothing, but that's what it is. It's better than nothing.
And his is better than hers.
And it doesn't deal with the fracturing of a society that comes out of this. And I think that's what you're seeing. They love the intelligence agencies because there's a clash between them and Trump, and they hope against hope that this will work. They hoped it from Mueller. They hoped it from.
Right.
I mean, what is this? This is the desperation because they have no way to get rid of Trump because of the base that he has. And they're now discovering they have no way to get rid of Sanders either because of the base he has. And what have they got left? If 40% go for Trump and 40% go for Bernie, they're left with no base at all.
Sitting around in a Davos world. You just watched a Michael Brooks show video. Subscribe to get them all. Why wouldn't you? Don't be foolish. Click subscribe below and become a patron as well. Patreon.com/TMBS. Thanks, everybody.